online class. Hello, online folks. Hi, Brian and Linda. Thank you for saying hello. I do appreciate that, of course, as always. Before we haven't started yet, so what happened was, and I haven't told Jeff this yet. What happened was, so last week I had a work thing. I had a work thing on Wednesday, and then Tuesday of that week, I realized that my work thing was on Tuesday, not Wednesday. So I said, "Oh, well, cool." So then I did my thing on Tuesday. Then I forgot to then I just took Wednesday off. I just took Wednesday off because I wanted to, I don't know, sleep or something. I don't know, but I wasn't here, and it's good that he did something else because that's again like when we're conditioned, religiously conditioned in this country to, it's a very kind of us versus them kind of thing. And so, and when we come to Buddhism, because even though we don't like that, when we come to Buddhism, we're conditioned the same way. So if you see somebody doing a Buddhist meditation one way and they do it another way, it's like, oh my God, what is this? And it's the same thing with Christianity. Christianity is not a monolith. Buddhism is not a monolith. They have so many different schools of Buddhism. Lawrence is over here telling me about, he just came back was in Nepal recently, and they practice Tibetan Buddhism in Nepal, by and large. And that is one way. That is one way to practice Buddhism, and it's lovely and it is wonderful. It is not it is not the school of Buddhism that I was educated in, but I don't care. It's lovely and wonderful. And I love the Tibetans. There's just this a wonderful, lovely people. I've met people from the Japanese temple down on 2929 Market, and they practice a Buddhism. It's like a Jodo Shinshu. I think it's a Shin Buddhism temple. Jodo Shinshu is a type of like a Pure Land Buddhism. That's not the Buddha Dharma. But it's, Pure Land developed in like the 4th century originally, and then this particular school of Buddhism, Jodo Shinshu, developed in like the 13th century for a very good reason. Back in Japan at the time, Buddhism was only available to essentially the 1%, right? The elite class. But then, so what are the other 99% supposed to do, right? And they had this one guy, begins with an H, Hanran or something like that. I can't remember. He said, "No, you just have to do this, and you'll be reborn in the Pure Land, filled with bliss." And he was very adamant about that. And it was, so this style of Buddhism developed in because of this elitism in Buddhism that developed in Japan there. And so it's perfectly understandable. So I totally get it. And even like Japanese Buddhism, like the Zen, the Zen Buddhism that they practice now only emerged, as from the Meiji Restoration from 1868. Back then they had monks, Buddhist monks, and then in the Meiji Restoration, it's like, "Oh no, you guys don't work. How is it that you guys don't work? You have to work. If you can't be, you could be a priest, but you can't be like a monk and just not work. You have to contribute to society." So monks were almost totally wiped out, and those became priests, essentially. So it's really fascinating how Buddhism has developed in different countries and different cultures and things like that. And it's all different. It's all different. And Buddhism is so relatively new to America. And so there's all these like competing. There's like Tibetan Buddhism and all the different ethnic Buddhisms and all the Zen, the American Zen Buddhism, and kind of what we do, which is kind of like nothing. It's not nothing, but I was educated in the Theravada school of Buddhism, the Buddhism they practice in Southeast Asia, Thailand, Cambodia, Burma, Laos, etc. And but it's just different, and it's not the best. It's just what I kind of fell into, and part of my Buddhist education was learning about all these different schools and like why they happened, how they happened, why they happened, and many times it was just a necessity. Like in Japan, like I was just talking about, if Buddhism is only available to like the elite class, and that doesn't sound like very Buddhist to me, that's something that Buddha would approve of. So
Jeff was very funny. He said, "Loving kindness, I am not."
Right.
But he praised you, so that was a compliment.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody in loving kindness, I am not, but more than Jeff. But Jeff's a different kind of person, so maybe it was good for him to do it.
Right.
We're all just different people. The reason why I keep on doing this, that I came to this classes, and I talked about this last time I was here. I think it's really helpful to teach what you have to learn the most. I am riddled with self-hatred, self-denigration. It's just my conditioning.
You put on a good facade.
It's years of trauma and also years of practice, and how that has evolved and changed me over time. And part of why that the reason why Buddhism helps me is because it's just like all kind of inclusive. There's so many different schools, and we don't, like I was telling Lawrence earlier, that we don't proselytize here in Buddhism. We don't try to make you a Buddhist. Just be what you want to be. Just be nice. Be a good person. All right, but let's start class. I guess a little late, but that's okay. And welcome everybody. Hello. Who else? Oh, Baxter. Hi, Baxter. Joining us online. Welcome to the class on loving kindness here at the Dharma Bum Temple. We have a couple of new people. We have Dillian and Lawrence. Anyone else brand new to the Dharma Bum Temple? Welcome. Hi, what's your name?
Thank you, Michael.
Michael. Nice to meet you, Michael. How'd you hear about us?
Google.
Just Google? Okay.
Yeah.
That seems to be the prevailing kind of way these days. So here, when we talk about loving kindness, because this is a loving kindness class or a loving kindness meditation, the word that we're specifically looking at is this word called metta, M-E-T-T-A. In the Tibetan school, they call it Maitri. Same thing, right? And this word comes from the old Pali language, which is an old word, which is pretty close. It's a language that's pretty close to what the historical Buddha spoke, we think. And when this word gets translated into English 2,500 years later, it can mean a lot of things, because this word was really just kind of all-encompassing. Unconditional friendliness, loving kindness, goodwill, inoffensiveness, harmony, amity, all these different types of words. They had this one monk who translated into like 40 different words, could all be grouped into this word metta. It's a wish for ourselves and others to be happy. It's a wish for ourselves and others to do the things that cause happiness. So we not only want them to be happy, we not only want ourselves to be happy, we want to do the things that cause happiness in ourselves and in others. And the things that do that, and we have a very simple motto here at the Dharma Bum Temple of think good thoughts, speak good words, do good deeds. That's it. In a nutshell, that's what causes happiness. We don't want to harm ourselves. We don't want to harm others with our thoughts, our words, our actions. And those non-harming types of actions are the things that cause happiness. Right? And since they're not harming, you can wish loving kindness for anybody, even your enemies, because your loving kindness and their loving kindness will never conflict with each other, ever. Loving kindness is this big, grand concept on one hand, but it's also could be something that's very, very simple. When you have a lot of thoughts that are going on in your mind and you just take a deep breath and just focus on that breath, and you stop those recursive thoughts from going on, even if it's just for a second. That is an act of loving kindness for yourself. We are terrible to ourselves. And so loving kindness is needed now more than ever. And so we are going to have this meditation on loving kindness. We are going to have like a question and answer section afterwards as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. You can ask a question now if you want. So here's what we're going to do, because I do this a little bit different, this loving kindness meditation. First, we're going to spend a couple of minutes just getting connected to the breath. And then after that, we're going to do this practice of loving kindness for our benefactor. And a benefactor is just anyone who has shown us great love or great kindness. Not we try to stay away from a romantic partner, but anyone else is fair game, right? Mother, father, brother, sister, best friend, favorite teacher, whomever it might be, right? They could be living, they could be not living, doesn't matter, right? They could be near, they could be far away. None of that matters, right? There's a lot of flexibility here. And then we're going to do that for a few minutes, and then we're going to imagine this benefactor, same one or different one, doesn't matter, doing this practice for us. We're going to imagine them doing this practice for us, wishing us loving kindness. And then we're going to do loving kindness for ourselves, and then we're going to do loving kindness for all beings in all directions. And you can do this practice of loving kindness by either just radiating loving kindness to them, in however you understand that word radiate, or just by repeating phrases of loving kindness for them, which I'll talk about when we actually get to the meditation. All right. Relax, everybody. It's a happy practice. Any questions before we start? All right, let's get to it. So just allow your eyes to close, making sure you have that nice and comfortable and stable position, sustainable position, so that you're not likely to move around too much. And when we sit like a Buddha. And you can even imagine yourselves as a Buddha sitting underneath your own tree of enlightenment. Whatever tree that is, it's perfectly fine. Ready for the day's abiding. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. That is the big promise the Buddha makes to us. And so at first, we're just going to get connected to the breath. So let's just take a deep breath all the way in and all the way out. Not forcing the breath, letting the breath be quite easy and natural, and just focusing on the breath at the base of the nostrils, just feeling the air go in and out as you breathe, or just following the breath go in through the nose, into the heart, down into the belly, and then on the exhale from the belly, through the heart, and back out through the nose. Just following the breath in, following the breath out. If we have a thought that arises that distracts us, we just have this wonderful technique called labeling. So that when we have a thought that arises, we just notice it and just say, thinking. Just that act of saying thinking will snap the mind back to the present moment, even if it's just for a second. When we come back to the present, we notice how much better this feels than when we're chasing after some random thought of the past or the future. Just for the next few moments, let's just rest as gently as we can in the sensations of the breath. So to begin our practice of loving kindness, unconditional friendliness, and goodwill, we're first going to think of a benefactor. Again, a benefactor is anyone who has shown us great love or great kindness, someone that's really easy to have these feelings for. So we're just going to think of this person or these people, and we're going to either radiate loving kindness to them, wishing them happiness, wishing they do the things that cause happiness, just their non-harming thoughts, words, and actions. Or you can just repeat phrases of loving kindness for them. Phrases like, may you be happy. May you be safe from inner and outer danger. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at peace and live at ease in this world. You can do either. You can have as many benefactors as you want. It always helps to smile during this meditation instead of being so dour, and better to be lighthearted if you can. So for the next few moments, let's just do this practice of loving kindness for our benefactor. shifting our focus a little bit from loving kindness for our benefactor or benefactors to now just imagining our benefactor doing this practice for us. You can imagine your benefactor repeating these phrases of loving kindness for you, or just radiating loving kindness for you. And your only real job here is just to receive all of it. Receive all of their loving kindness in your heart. You already have the experience of their loving kindness. Can you then just call that to mind and just to accept it again? If there's any part of your heart that feels any tightness or tension that can't receive all of it, can you maybe put your hand over your heart, maybe take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, and direct it towards that tension, and just give it a little space. If it resolves, great. If it doesn't, great. Just leave it alone. Just go back to the practice. Smile. Don't take yourself so seriously. So now we'll imagine our benefactor doing this practice for us. And now, can we do this practice of loving kindness for ourselves? This is probably the most important thing that we really need to learn is to have loving kindness for ourselves and do this practice for ourselves. We can make our heart into an infinite wellspring of loving kindness with this practice. But we start at the very beginning, slowly, gently. Can we either just imagine our heart getting bigger and bigger and bigger, kind of like the Grinch? His heart grew and grew. Or can we just gently repeat these phrases of loving kindness for ourselves? May I be happy. May I be safe from inner and outer danger. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at peace and live at ease in this world. Everyone has a wish to be happy. Can we honor that in each other by doing this practice for ourselves? finally we can explore the limitless potential of the heart to have this feeling of loving kindness for all beings in all directions, to include everybody, no matter where they are, what they believe, any physical or other characteristic about them, spreading upwards to the skies, downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded. May all beings be at ease. This is the potential of the heart. So we do this practice of loving kindness, unconditional friendliness, goodwill for all beings in all directions. Just open your eyes when you're ready. So let's just spend the next moment or two out in silence as you stretch your arms and you stretch your legs, keeping that mindfulness of loving kindness about you while you do so. Maybe reflecting on your meditation. What happened? What was anything that was easy or difficult or surprising? I'll ask you about that in a little bit, like in a minute. If you have any questions, just keep them handy. We'll ask for questions in a minute too. 30 seconds. So that was our practice of loving kindness that we do here. At least one of the ways that we do it, where we kind of gently ease our way into loving kindness for ourselves. Normally, how loving kindness is taught is you start with yourself because it's the most important. And it is true, it is the most important. But since for a lot of us in this culture, that's really, really hard, we have to find a way to kind of ease into it. And so this is one way to do that. And I kind of like this way. I like it. So are there any questions on the instructions at all? Hopefully they were relatively straightforward. And so how about your experience of meditation? I know this is probably, it might be a little bit different of a way than you're used to, or maybe one part of this was either difficult or easy, or you had an interesting or wonderful or scary experience. Your experience is just your experience. So, of course, there are no wrong answers. Anyone want to share what that meditation was like for them?
I really like it. It just feels so rejuvenating, and they get to be like a lot less reactive towards family members. Like if I get a message and I want to respond negatively, I just pause and I remember this practice, and then my response completely changes, or I just don't respond for a while.
Yeah.
So it's really helpful, especially with the holidays.
This is it can be a family heavy holiday, and that's it can be challenging, even for the most spiritually advanced. Was it Ram Dass said, if you think you're enlightened, go spend a week with your family. Right? Because it's true. It's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. They spent our whole childhood installing these buttons that they like to press occasionally to annoy us and get us angry, or to do whatever. And they spent all that time installing it. They might as well do some maintenance and see if it still works. Because we get that a lot. Like, why can my families how can they just press our buttons? Well, they installed the button. Right? So yeah, absolutely. The more you can have loving kindness, the better. And a lot of loving kindness too, I think, is just it's not just not reacting, but just kind of leaving the situation as well. Just like, yeah, I'm not dealing with you, so I'll go over here, or I'll go away, whatever that is, and do so happily. You but thank you for that. Yes.
Yeah, I felt a transition in this practice when you mentioned the heart and opening up the heart.
Mhm.
Just because I've been feeling like a weight on my shoulders today personally. Yeah, that was nice. I felt like the whole practice just got like 10 times better after that. Like it was just like, oh, like let that go.
Yeah.
So I really like that part of it.
We carry so much with us all the time that a lot of times in this practice, we realize that we can let go, even if it's just for a little bit. It's like, oh yeah, I don't have to be responsible for that. Or, I don't have to hold on to that. And it's that act of loving kindness that allows you just to let that go. Say, I don't have any control over this. And, worrying about it too much is just causing me even more suffering. And, this holiday time just exacerbates it a lot of times, and it can be really, really hard. And that's why this practice of loving kindness is just so important. Because the person we normally hurt the most is just ourselves. By staying with these kind of recursive thoughts, feelings, negative emotions, we just kind of churn them over and over in our heart and in our head, in our mind. And it's so addictive. It's so addictive. And a lot of times the cause of this we're spending time with during the holidays, which just makes it even just more triggering and difficult and all of that. And the more we can do this and the more we can let that go, or at least view it and not react to it, the better we're going to be. It's just it can be really difficult, and I know. And my reaction, the way that I deal with this is I don't deal with it. I don't, meaning that I remove myself from the situation. I'm really lucky. I'm the youngest of four. Our parents have been dead for a really long time. And so I have three older sisters. And the benefit of that is the drama is never with me. The drama is always this sister doesn't like this sister, and the sister said something the other sister doesn't like, and blah, 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 this kind of stuff, Not me. I am not involved in that, and I'm glad that I don't get involved or just make it worse or anything like that. Plus, of my three sisters, only two approve of me. So I only communicate really with one that does like me. And it's hard not to communicate with your family because I love them, but they not fans of gay people, not fans of me, and that's all right. I don't have to be a fan of you either. My one sister who I do get along, I love her to pieces. Her license plate says "Fight Hate," and it's said "Fight Hate" for 20, 30 years now. So she's always been this way. I love her dearly for that. She got pregnant when she was like 19, I think it was, something like that. No, I was 19. She was like 21. And then her son was born with severe like autism and cerebral palsy and some physical issues. And so he's been like nonverbal his whole life. So he requires 24-hour care. And so he's 35 now, and she stays home and takes care of him. You know, and she's taking care of him, and it's a 24-hour-a-day job. But she has that much compassion, that much love for somebody where she can just do this, and it's just not a problem for her anymore.
She sounds amazing.
She is amazing. She's an amazing human being. Just to witness that capacity for love and compassion, I learned a lot from her. I'm really super grateful for her. And even though I don't get to talk to her because her son doesn't like it when she talks on the phone, just freaks him out. So we text a lot. So I love texting. But yeah, she's wonderful, and I think about that. I don't care what my other two sisters like or don't like. I don't care. I like this one. So I just remove myself from the others. And I can do that. I'm okay with it. Yes.
Thank you for sharing all of
Of
that.
course.
And yeah, during the meditation, I really liked what you said, like smile,
Mhm.
because like that made a world of a difference. Like to be carefree, just just be lighthearted. I
Yeah.
really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're so, when people come to spiritual practice, it's not because they're super happy, it's because they have a lot of difficulty going on. And so the tendency is, especially in meditation, just to be kind of very serious and we're going to do this, just be serious. And
Yeah.
smiling just kind of puts our mind in a better mood. It makes it easier to do this practice. And even that takes time, and it takes practice to do it because that's not our natural tendency to do. And I know, don't worry if you couldn't do it. That's fine. We'll get there. We'll get there eventually. But, I'm just glad that, this is the last like loving kindness meditation before Christmas. And, I hope you all have a wonderful holiday and rest of your year. And I'm so happy that you're here and we got to share in this practice. So before we end for today, we do have some announcements. We're going to have our host kind of talk about that. Thank you to the guys online. We'll see you later. So wonderful to have you both, Baxter, Brian, and Linda. Thank you.
Hello, I'm tonight's host, Daryl. We started Dharma Bun 15 years ago to introduce Buddhist practices to those who show up. Though those who lead are not nuns, monks, gurus, masters, or teachers. They're not looking for students. They are simply practitioners sharing their interpretation of the practice with others. Almost every night there are different classes led by various Buddhist traditions. We have a recovery sangha, which meets several times a week for anybody battling addiction, a family sangha for parents, kids, toddlers, and teens, which meets once a month, and a half-day silent retreat on the first Saturday of the month. Everything we offer here is free. The full schedule is on the website or above the entryway above the shoe rack. We have a lending library, so if you see a book you like, feel free to borrow it and bring it back whenever you're done with it. And we hope to see you again.
Awesome. Thank you.
Oh, if you look on the website, and I don't know if it's posted out there, but there is a New Year's Eve potluck and meditation. So
Event here. Yes. Thank you guys so much. Let's join our palms together at our hearts, please. And may the benefits of this meditation, this discussion be received by all beings in all directions. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be joyful and at ease. May all beings be happy. And may all beings be loved and seen for the beautiful, radiant beings that they are, that you are. Thank you for coming. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you next time. Have a wonderful rest of your evening and rest of your week.